Send me the response if you're
Yeah,
able to hear, so we'll start the
yeah,
session.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Mahesh. This is
Yes.
fine now.
So in last class, we discussed Cocoa Studio topic. We discussed graphics programming and graphics programming with Cocoa Studio. So today's session we'll discuss Google Places concept. We'll discuss in the today's session. Today we'll discuss Google Places concept. We'll discuss. So what Google Places will do is Google Places will provide the nearby information. Google Places will provide what? The nearby information it will provide. And it's one of the best example for calling the RESTful web service. It's one of the best example for calling the RESTful web service and get type of request. Again, there are two types of requests are there. Get is one type of request, another thing is post is another type of request. Get request and post request. So this Google Places is another best example for RESTful web service and RESTful web service and get type of request. Okay. So now today we'll see how to work with the Google Places. Google Places is what? Which is used to get the nearby information. Like you want to get what are all the nearby restaurants available in your place, what are all the nearby ATM centers. Okay, so what are all the nearby banks information, like almost all Google is providing 120 plus supporting types information. It is providing, Google is providing 120 plus supporting types it is information is providing. Like you can get the schools information, you can get nearby colleges, bus stops, airports, bar, a cave. So almost all 120 plus supporting types information you can get. Okay, so let's see how to work with the Google Places. So it's what? It's just a URL. Calling a RESTful web service is nothing but calling a URL. Calling a RESTful web service is nothing but what? Calling a URL. Okay. So let's see the URL. So which URL we had to call to get the nearby information? Let's type here Google Places. So I specified Google Places URL. That's it. Google Places URL. See the first URL only you can select here the first URL. Place search. You can select the first URL only. You can select. Just if we scroll down, this is the URL maps.googleapis.com/maps API place nearby search. This is what? It's a URL. Let's copy this entire URL. Let's copy the entire URL. Copy the entire URL and place the URL in your notepad or somewhere else. Okay. This is the Google Places URL. By using this Google Places, we can get the nearby information we can get. We can get what? The nearby information we can get. See, for example, just imagine you want to get your nearby you want to get your nearby information you want to get in your application. You want to get what? The nearby information you want to get. So what are the parameters you have to pass to the Google? Okay, there is an API called Google Places. By using this Google Places API, we can get the nearby information we can get. We can get what? The nearby information we can get. But what are the parameters we have to send? Just give me a minute. So from our application, just so make a request to the Google Places server. Google Places server. So we have to send few parameters we have to send to the Google Places server. Like, so tell me, just imagine what are the parameters we have to send. What are the parameters we have to send to the server to get the nearby information? What are the parameters we have to send? Just imagine what are the parameters we have to send to the server. First of all, yeah. So we have to send the latitude and longitude. If you want to get the nearby information, if you want to get, first of all, you have to send what is the latitude value and what is the longitude value. First, tell me where you are right now. The current position you have to send the latitude and longitude value is the first parameter. And next, second parameter is what type of data you want to get. I mean, you want to get the nearby restaurants you want to get, or nearby temples, or what type of information you want to get. You have to specify the type you have to send as input parameter, latitude and longitude, type you have to send, and third thing is nothing but radius. Radius is nothing but, for example, just I want to withdraw the money. I mean Amirpet. I want to withdraw the money. I want to withdraw. Just to withdraw the money, I cannot go to 10 kilometers and I cannot withdraw the money there, right? The third parameter you have to specify the radius, within how much distance information you want to get. So latitude, longitude, type. Third thing is radius. Okay. So fourth parameter is response type. Fourth parameter is what? Response type. Meaning what type of information you want to get. You want to get the XML type of data you want to get, or JSON type of data you want to get. What type of data you want to get, you have to specify here. That is response type. What type of information you want to get, you have to specify the response type. You have to specify. And the last parameter is nothing but, if you want to access any Google service, if you want to access, what we need the API key with it. If we have an API key, then only we can come in, then only we can access the Google Places API. Otherwise, you cannot access. So these are the 5 parameters we have to send to the Google Places server. These are the 5 parameters we had to send to the Google Places server. These are the 5 parameters we had to send to the Google Places server. So from Google Places server, based on the response type you specified here, because it's not like the SOAP based web service. SOAP will support only the XML data transmission. But here, in case of RESTful service, it will support both. It will send the data in XML format, it will send the data, and it will support the data in JSON format. You can send the data. So REST support both JSON and XML. But in case of SOAP service, it will take only XML. You cannot get the response in JSON. You cannot get the response. And now in the industry, JSON is more preferred format than the XML, because it's lightweight and will support the data types. Okay, and programmatically it's very simple for reading the data from the JSON file compared to XML. So if you send the response, if you send to the server, from the server you'll get the response. In which format you'll get the response? What are the type you specified, either XML or JSON. Max will specify what? JSON will specify. My requirement is my requirement is my requirement is here. I'll take the place type. I'll take as the input from the user. I'll tell you my final requirement. This is my final requirement. User is going to give the input in this text box. User is going to give the input in this text box, like what type of information you want to get. Like you want to get a nearby ATM, or you want to get nearby a cave, or what type of information you want to get. Let's specify the type here. And whenever user clicks the go button, I want to get the nearby places information I want to get. I want to get the nearby places information and display that places information on a recycler view component. Display that places information on top of a recycler view component. Once again, I'm telling you, this is the best example for calling the RESTful web service. Don't in future, don't ask, sir, we have not discussed web service concept, right? Or we have not discussed the server communication, right? We are discussing the server communication while we are discussing, but it's not, we don't have our own servers. That's why we are taking a Google Places one example. Google Places is on server. So if you make a request to the server, we are getting the response, we are getting in a JSON. Okay. And if you get some data, you'll get some data you'll get from the server. That data will present on a recycler view component, will present the data. Okay. This is our requirement. Okay. So we'll see how we'll get the data in a JSON format and how we'll present the data in a recycler. Okay. So first, let's create a project. Let's start a new Android Studio project. Specify the project name. State my project name is Google Places Test is a project name. I'm creating a project. I'm creating. What is the project name? Google Places Test is a project name. Okay. Next, take empty activity. Finish. So first, let's design this UI. Let's design the UI. Just we'll create a text box. We'll create and we'll create a go button. Whenever user clicks the go button, send the request. Okay. So in our activity XML file, just we'll create, see the UI part first. I create a text box I created. The right side first we'll create a button we'll create called go button. Let's create a button called go. And here we create one text box we created. Let's specify the width and height for this. We created one text box we created and we create a button called what? Go is a button. We create a text box we created and we create a button called what? Go is a button. So now below this go button, below of this we'll create a UI component called a recycler view component we'll create. Below of this UI component, we will create a recycler view component. We'll create below of this UI component. Okay, and recycler view is not a part of your Android, right? So we have to add a library. A library we had to add first. So let's right click on this app. Right click on app. You can find the option called module settings. Right click on app. You can find the option called what? Module settings. Open module settings. In this module settings, select an option called what? Dependencies. Add a library dependency. Which library we want to add? We want to add recycler view library file we had to add. Let's add the recycler view library. This is one thing. And we had to add one more library we had to add, that is the card view. So here you can find one more library you can find called card view. There is card view. So we added the recycler view component and card view component we added. Just click on this OK button. Okay. So now here you can specify card view component. You can specify the recycler view component. Recycler view. What is the width and height? Match parent and match parent I specified. It's a relative layout, so you have to specify the position where you want to create this recycler view component. What is ID for this? ID is rview is ID I specified for this recycler view component. Rview is a and what is the position? Layout underscore below of et1, meaning we created an edit text component we created, right? I want to create this recycler view component. I want to create below of the edit text. I want to create this recycler view component. I want to create below of the edit text component. That's what we specified. Now, if you select the design, if you select design, you'll get the XML code. And see here, we design the UI we design. It's an edit text component, and after that we created what? A recycler view component we created. One edit text component and a go button we created, and after that we created what? A recycler view component we created. Okay. So now here, let's configure the click event for this go button. We create a button called go, right? Let's configure the click event for this go button. On click is equals to what? Go. So whenever user clicks this go button, just we'll call the URL we'll call. So let's create a method here. Public void go is a method. View object is the input parameter for this method. Public void, what is the method name? Go is the method name, and which is taking the view object as a input. Go is the method name, view object as a input parameter. In this go method, whatever the URL you wants to call, let's specify the URL here. See, this is a we found a URL, right? We made a request in Google Places URL. We got the Google Places URL we got here. Let's copy this entire URL. Let's copy the entire URL and specify the URL in your program. Just if you want to call any URL, if you want to call, or if you want to call a get type of request, a soap get type of request. It's simple. Let's create the object for URL class. Create the object for what? Which class? URL class will create the object. URL u is equals to new URL is a method. URL u is equals to what? New URL is a method. Whatever the URL you wants to call, let's specify the URL in the double quotes and give the entire URL. URL u is equals to new URL of in the double quotes. Specify the URL address. Which URL you wants to call. Let's specify that URL address. Okay. So we specified https maps.googleapis.com. What is the first thing you have to specify? If you want to get the nearby information, if you want to get, what is the first thing you have to specify? We had to specify the latitude value and the longitude value we had to specify. We know already programmatically how can we get the latitude and longitude value. I mean our current position. We know that how to get our current position. But basically it will take some time to write the logic again, call the location service, get the latitude and longitude. Anyway, we know that. We've seen two times we've seen that how to get the latitude value and longitude values. Okay. So now here, what I'll do is by using location manager, we can get the latitude and longitude we can get. Okay, we already discussed that concept. Just try to implement that logic here. What I'm doing is directly I'll configure my latitude and longitude values. I'll configure here directly. For example, right now I'm at SR Nagar, Hyderabad, for example. Otherwise, programmatically only will write it's better rather than configuring statically. Programmatically only will configure that latitude and longitude values. But we had to change the UI. You had to change now that. Okay, I'll modify the UI. I'll modify. I'll create. I'll convert into linear layout. I'll convert because The main UI group will take as a linear layout will take. Okay, so linear layout with the weight properties will align. Linear layout are taken and orientation is nothing but vertical. Orientation is what? Vertical. So inside this linear layout, I'm taking one more linear layout. I'm taking width is match parent. Height, make it 0 dB because we want to apply the weight. You can specify wrap content, no issue. Wrap. And inside this linear layout, I'm specifying the orientation as horizontal. I specify orientation is what? Horizontal. Now inside this linear layout, let's create these two components: edit text component and a button. Edit text component and button. For this edit text component, I want to apply the weight property. I want to apply for this. We don't require all these properties. We don't require. You remember the weight property, right? Weight with respect to width we want to apply. So first I made it 0 dB and weight is equals to 0.9 I specified. And for this edit text button, width make it 0 dB. Width make it 0 dB. In place of width, I want to apply the weight property 0.0. Okay. Now inside this linear layout, I want to create two more linear layouts. I want to create. Width is match parent, height is wrap content, and what is the orientation? Orientation is horizontal. Inside this linear layout, I want to create two text view components. I want to create inside this linear layout. I want to create what? Two text view components. I want to create. Width is 0 dB. Height is match by. Weight is equals to 0.5 is the weight. What is the text you want to display? Let's specify the text. Initially, I want to get the display the latitude value. Further, we require this component into Java code. Let's configure the ID for this. For example, lati or specific text view 1. Longitude text view. So we created two text view components we created. Inside the linear layout, we created what? Two text view components we created. Okay. One is for displaying the latitude value and one more thing for displaying the longitude value. So text to size I specified some 20. Okay. Then after that I want to create a linear layout component I want to create. Now see the design. So go button we got very less size we got. So we'll try to decrease that one 0. We'll make it 0.8 is a width and 0.2 is a width for this go button. Now see the design. Okay. So now we created a recycler V component we created below of this. Okay. So my requirement is first we'll try to get the latitude and longitude logic. We'll try to get first. First we'll write the logic for what? Getting the latitude and longitude value and set the latitude and longitude values to what? These two text view components. We created two text view components we created, right? So get the latitude and longitude value to these two text view components. Okay. So we'll write this logic, URL logic we'll write, but first we have to get the latitude value and the longitude value we have to get first. So in the XML file, we created two text view components we created in the XML, text view 1 and text view 2. Okay. So initialize these two text view components. So 1 is equals to text view, find view by id of r.id dot text view 1. r.id.textView2 is a method. So initialize these two text view components we initialized. Okay. And let's declare two variables, two double type of variables. Double one is latitude and second thing is what? Longitude. Double latitude and double longitude. Okay. So first get the latitude and longitude, because in our URL, in our Google Places RESTful URL, first thing is nothing but location only. Meaning first you have to specify where you are right now. So first we'll write the location service logic. We'll write first for managing the location service, or if you want to get location service, if you want to get, what is the method name? Get system service is a method. Get system service is a method. Context to dot location underscore context dot location underscore service. We get the built-in location service into activity. To manage this location service, application framework is providing a class called what? Location manager is a class. So let's create the object for location manager class. To manage this location service, application framework is providing a class called what? Location manager is a class. So let's initialize the object for location manager. Location manager is equals to location manager of get system service of context dot location underscore service. And what is the first statement we had to write? Just recall your location service classes. First, we had to call location manager object dot. There is a method called request last known location updates is a method. Location manager dot get last known location is a method. We had to specify the provider here, from which provider you want to get the location updates. I'm specifying location manager dot GPS provider. Using GPS, I want to get the location updates. Okay. But by using this statement, you will not get the exact location. You will not get. By using this statement, you will not get the exact location. You will not get by using this statement. Okay, you will get the last updated value. If you want to get your exact current updated location, if you want to get your current updated location, if you want to get, you have to configure this listener. You have to configure location manager dot. There is a method called request location updates is a method. Is a method in request location updates is a method. We have to specify few parameters. We have to specify like provider, minimum time interval. So we have to specify these parameters. We have to specify. Let's take the first one. Specify the provider first. We want to get the location updates by using GPS provider. What is second parameter? Minimum time interval. Minimum time interval I specified 1000 milliseconds, meaning 1 second. For every 1 second I want to get the updates. And what is the minimum distance? I specified 0. 1 is the minimum distance. And last parameter is the object of location listener. Last parameter is object of what? Location listener. Just once if you create the once if you select this location listener, once if you select, automatically you will get the list of methods you will get in that particular location listener. Whenever the location is changed, it's going to call this on location changed method is going to call. Whenever the location is changed, it will call what? On location changed method. One of the input parameter for this on location changed method is nothing but location object. Location object is one of the input parameter for this on location changed method. So globally we created two variables right? One is latitude and longitude, and we created two text view components we created. Whenever user update the location, let's set the latitude value. Latitude is equals to location dot get latitude is the method, so it will get the latitude value will get, and longitude is equals to location object dot get longitude is the method, so it will get the longitude value. So we are getting the latitude value we are getting, and we are getting the longitude value we are getting. So this latitude and longitude we had to set to two text view components. We created two text view components right in XML. For that two text view components we had to set the values. We had to set text of latitude, and at end append this empty text. Let's append at the end, because it's a double type of data. You will get a double type of data you will get here. We are appending. We cannot set the double type of data. We cannot send to text view one component. We cannot set. That's why we are adding empty text. We are adding. Okay. and text view 2 dot set text of, I want to set the longitude value. I want to set longitude. So add an empty. So we are setting the latitude value to text v1, longitude value we are setting to text v2 component we are setting. Okay. So why it is showing the errors? Because we had to add a permission in the manifest.xml. We had to add a permission in the manifest.xml. In this manifest.xml, first we had to add what? Internet permission we had to add. This is the first thing. We had to add internet permission we had to add. And we are accessing the location we are accessing. For accessing the location we had to specify this access find location permission we had to specify. This find location permission we had to add. Access find location and access find location and post location. Okay, these two permissions we had to add in manifest.xml. So still we are getting the error we are getting still, because we had to add this, we had to add a permission check statement we had to add. That's it, add permission check statement. So once if you click on that error, add a permission check statement, that's it. Still showing some error somewhere. So specify longitude is equals to location dot get longitude. So now here we got the latitude value and longitude value. We are setting that latitude longitude to text v1 component and text v2 component we are setting. Okay, so we'll test the application. Will test. Meaning up to now what is the logic written? You already know that logic, but we don't require this. Okay. Select the run button. So I had to enable GPS. I had to enable the GPS. I had to enable. So anyway, it will take some time to get that location. Okay. So once if you get the location, then you'll get the latitude value and longitude value you'll get here. Okay, it's trying to capture the location. Once if you get that latitude and longitude values, it will update the latitude and longitude to these text view components. It will update. Okay. So meanwhile, we'll start the next logic. We'll write. Okay. So you'll get the location, latitude value, and longitude value. You'll get. We'll get what? The location, latitude value, and longitude value we will get. So whenever user selects the go button here, whenever user select the go button, so URL u is equals to new URL. Okay. So here we record the latitude value and the longitude value. So here in this URL, these two are the dynamic data. This latitude value and these two are the latitude value and longitude value. It's a dynamic data. If you are sending the data in this type, we call as a query parameters. If you are sending the data in this format, we call as what? It's a query parameters. So now here location is equals to, it's a string, just let's break the string, double quotes, And here I want to get the latitude value. I want to get first thing is the latitude value. Earlier we configured statically, we configured. Now I removed that statical configuration. I removed whatever the latitude we got, that latitude I'm getting here. And here also same thing. Let's, in place of this static data, let's break the string by using double quotes. And here longitude. Okay. So we are getting the latitude value and the longitude value we are getting. So now we specified our current position, we specified latitude and longitude. And if you see here in this URL, what is the next one? It's radius. Radius means nearby. Within how many meters information you want to get? 500 meters we specified, meaning nearby half-kilometer information we are getting. Nearby, how much information we are accessing? Half-kilometer information we are getting. 500 meters information. Okay, let it be 500 only. So I want to get nearby half-kilometer information. Next, type. What type of information you want to get? Okay, see, for that type only, just to take the type from the user only, we created a text box, we created, right? One edit text component we created. So here this type also should be dynamic. Here restaurant we configured statically, we configured restaurant as restaurant. Now that restaurant has to be replaced with the edit text component. Let's create a UI component called edit text. Edit text 1 is equals to edit text. What is the method name? Find view by id r.id dot edit text. Edit text is equals to edit text of find view by id r.id dot edit text. So now here radius we specified, type is equals to, in place of restaurant, type is equals to, in place of restaurant, let's break the string, and in the double type is equals to, we'll get the value from the edit text one component, we'll get the value. Let's specify et1 dot get text dot toString. et1 dot get text dot what toString. et1 dot get text dot toString. Okay, next. So we don't require this name, we don't require. You can remove this name attribute, you can remove. We don't require the name attribute, we don't require. Let's remove the name attribute. Just give me a second. So we specify latitude, longitude, half kilometer information, and we are getting that what type of data you want to get from the server. In edit text component we specified, and we don't require the name, we don't require. Okay, remove this name field completely. Ampersand key is equals to, here we had to configure our API key, we had to configure. Here we had to configure what? The API key we had to configure. From where we'll get this API key? It's also a dynamic. From where we'll get this API key? We'll get this API key, we'll get from, so Google Developer Console. Okay, Google Developer Console. So here let's specify, let's go to the Developer Console. Have you remembered what is the URL? code.google.com slash apis slash console. This is a URL. code.google.com slash apis slash console. Okay, so let's go through this URL. So it is asking, the first thing is you have to create a project. Okay, you can create a new project, you can create, or you can take any existing project you can take. You can create what? A new project you can create, or you can take an existing project you can take. You know already how to create a new project and how to enable that particular service also. Okay, enable the Google Places service. So in my Already created a project already created called Google Places Test. Just click on that Google Places Test. Okay. So if you want, otherwise let's create a new project. So we got the API, we got the latitude and longitude we got. Okay. So we got the latitude and longitude we got. Okay. So let's create a project. I want to create a new project I want to create. Let's create a project. Specify the project name. Let's take my project name is, for example, Android 6 AM test is a project name. For example, Android 6 AM places and specified. I specified a project name as Android 6 AM places is a project name. Okay, let's create the project. Okay. So now the project is created. Now we have to enable this Google Places. Google Places service we have to enable now. Let's enable the Google Places service. Google Places API for Android. Google Places API for Android. So first we have to enable this service. We have to enable first. Let's enable the service. Let's enable the service. Okay, and click on this. Go to credentials. Already enable the service. Already enabled. Let's click on what? Go to credentials. Okay, and select what credentials I need. Google Places for Android. What credentials do I need? That's it. We got the API key we got, right? We got the API key we got. Let's copy this API key. So here they are providing some scripts. It's a warning message. If you want, you can provide here. If you want to apply it from specific any specific. So this key is unrestricted to prevent unauthorized use and quota theft. Restricted your key. Let's specify which website or IP address or apps can use this key. So basically, from where you are calling this one, we are calling this one in Android apps. We are calling, or if you want to call from anywhere, if you want to call, let's make it null. It's not required. Okay. So okay, we got the API key. We got this is the API key we got from the Google Places server, right? We got the API key we got from the Google Places server. Let's specify the API key in the last parameter. Your key is there, right? Specify the API key in the last parameter. Okay, so we configured our own API key. We configured our own API key. We configured. So now we configured all the parameters. Latitude and longitude we specified. What is the radius? What type of values you want to get, and what is the API key? And here the response type here. What type of data you want to get? Here you want to get the response in XML format. You want to get the response, or in a JSON format you will get the response. In which format you want to get the response? Let's specify here. Okay. So now here It's a URL. URL is equals to new URL. We want to hit the URL we want to hit. Meaning whenever you write this statement, this edit text object also I'll declare global. I'll declare. Okay. So now here by using this statement, it's going to hit the URL. By using this statement, it will hit what? It will hit the URL. It will hit by using this statement. And if you want to get the response, if you want to get from the URL, let's call u.openstream is a method. U dot what is the method name? OpenStream is a method. First statement, by using the first statement, it's going to hit the URL. It will hit the URL, it will hit. And by using the second statement, we are getting the response we are getting from the URL. By using this second statement, we are getting what? We are getting the response we are getting from the URL. Return type of this input stream, return type of this OpenStream method is nothing but input stream object is a return type. What is the return type of this method? Input stream is a return type of this OpenStream method. Input stream is a return type of this OpenStream method. Okay, but it's a network call. It's what? It's a network call. So network calls you cannot execute in the activity thread. Network calls we cannot execute in the activity thread. We cannot execute the network calls. Then what? Then where we have to execute this network calls? So this network calls we have to execute inside the asynchronous task. We have to execute this network calls we have to execute inside the asynchronous task. So let's create an asynchronous task. Let's create a class called myTask extends asynchronous task. We had to create a class we had to create with subtype of asynchronous task. We had to create a class we had to create with subtype of what? Asynchronous task. It's showing an error. This asynchronous task is showing an error because asynchronous task contains one abstract method called doInBackground. So let's select implement methods. It contains one abstract method called doInBackground method. We had to provide the implementation for the doInBackground method. In this doInBackground method, let's move the logic into this doInBackground method. Whatever steps you written inside the go method, write the logic inside the doInBackground method. Because it's a network call, it will take some time. It will take to hit the server and get the response from the server. That's why let's move that hitting the URL and get the response from the URL. These two lines of statement we moved into what? doInBackground method we moved. So this logic will give an exception. This logic will give you what? An exception. Let's put the logic inside the try catch. Let's put the logic inside what? Try catch. Exception E and E dot print stack trace. So these two lines of will be an exception. So we are putting the logic inside the try catch. We are putting the logic. We're putting the logic inside the try catch. Okay. Next. You'll get the response you'll get from the server, and we stored the entire response. We stored into input stream object. We stored the entire response. Okay. And this asynchronous task, after this doInBackground method, this asynchronous task contains one more method. Before going to load the background process, or after loading the entire process, it's going to call a method. This is a doInBackground, right? So after this doInBackground method, once the data loading process is completed, it's going to call the onPostExecute method is going to call. Once the data loading process is completed, it's going to call what? OnPostExecute method is going to call. In this onPostExecute method, see the scope of this input stream is nothing but only within this doInBackground. So outside the doInBackground, we cannot access. Let's move this input stream into a global variable. Let's move this input stream into what? Into a global variable. We'll move this into. Let's move the input stream variable into a global variable. Okay. Now you'll get the response we'll get from the server in the doInBackground. After loading that entire data, it's going to call the onPostExecute method is going to call. After loading the entire data, it's going to call which method? On post execute method is going to call. In this on post execute method, see, we got the data from the server, we got the data, and we stored the data into input stream reader object. We stored the data into what? We stored the entire data, we stored into input stream, meaning nothing but internally it contains the data in a byte array. Internally it contains the data in a byte array format. The data is available. Okay, now what we had to do is that entire byte data we had to convert into character format. We had to convert, meaning we had to convert into string format. We had to convert the entire byte data. We had to convert into what? Into a string format. We had to convert. See, for this conversion, for converting the input stream into string format, manually also you can write the logic. Manually also we can write the logic for converting that byte array, I mean input stream data object to a string format. Let's see here how to convert that one. In the on post execute method, I'm taking a string variable. MSG is equals to what? Initially MSG is equals to what? Initially empty. Next, write int I is equals to isr dot read is a method, so that you'll get the first byte you'll get. Whenever you call a read method, you'll get what? The first byte you'll get. You'll get a first byte you'll get. So like this, if you call once again, if you call the isr dot read method, if you call once again, you will get the next byte you'll get. Like this, if you call isr dot read, if you call continuously, you'll get the next bytes you'll get. You'll get the next bytes until the end of the byte. So we had to move this next statements until the end of the document. That's why I'm writing a statement while I is not equals to -1. Meaning I want to repeat this process. I want to repeat reading the next bytes until the end of the byte. End of the byte is going to terminate with what? -1. Let's write I is not equals to, while I is not equals to -1. That's it. While I is not equals to -1. Move to the next statements until what? End of the document. But whatever the byte you got here, we return the statement, right? I is equals to I dot read. Whatever the byte value you got here, that byte value we had to convert into character format. We had to convert. Before going to read the next byte, let's write MSG is equals to MSG plus character of I. Read the first byte and check whether this byte is not equals to the end of the byte or not. The byte is not equals to the end of the byte. Convert that byte into character, append that character to MSG. Like this, we are moving to the next statements until the end of the document. Like this, we are moving toward the next statements until the end of the document. Okay. So this whole logic will give an exception. Here, this logic also will give an exception. Put the logic inside the try catch. This whole logic also will give an exception. Put the logic inside the try catch. Okay. So now we are getting the next bytes we are getting until the end of the byte, and we are storing that entire data. We are storing into one string variable. We are storing. We stored the entire data. We stored into what? One string variable. We stored the entire data, that is MSG. Okay. So now let's print the message here. System.out.println 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 of, let's specify MSG, meaning what are the response we got from the Google Places server. Just that response I'm printing in a log. I'm printing whatever the response we got from Google Places server, that response we are printing in a log. We are printing that response MSG. Okay. So this is the logic we written in the asynchronous task. This is the logic we written in the asynchronous task. But we cannot directly automatically, this asynchronous task will not execute automatically. Whenever user clicks the go button, we had to execute that asynchronous task. We had to execute. Sorry. By default, it will not call the asynchronous task. It will not call by default. We have to execute the asynchronous task. We have to execute. My task is equals to new my task. My task is equals to what? New my task. And the asynchronous task object dot execute is a method to execute the asynchronous task. Asynchronous task object dot execute is a method to execute the asynchronous task. Okay. So here we are hitting the server. We are hitting, and we are getting the response. We are getting that response. We are converting into a string format. We are converting, and we are printing the string. We are printing in the console. We are printing system.out.println of MSC. But here also this asynchronous task will not execute. Even by using this statement also asynchronous task will not execute. To execute the asynchronous task, we have to add one more statement in your activity. To execute the asynchronous task, we had to add one more statement. We had to write here, that is strict mode dot thread policy. Policy is equals to new strict mode dot thread policy dot builder dot permit all dot build. Permit all dot build. Okay, and next strict mode dot, there is a method called set thread policy is a method, and specify this policy object. That's it. Strict mode dot set thread policy of specify the policy object. Now let's run the app and see the output once. It's just what we are doing here. We are hitting the server. We are hitting. First we are getting our current position. We are getting the latitude and longitude because we required that in the Google Places URL. Then after that, we create, whenever user clicks the button, we are hitting the server. We are hitting by passing these parameters. We're passing these parameters, and we'll get the response. We'll get from the server in an input stream. Input stream format. We'll get the response from the server. For converting that input stream into string format, this is a logic written. We are getting the individual byte we are getting. We are converting into character format we are converting. And we are storing that entire data. We are storing into one string variable. We are storing the entire data. Okay. That string response I'm printing in a log. I'm printing system.out.println of MSC. I'm printing that response. I'm printing in a log. I'm printing. Okay. So first we'll test up to this and see whether are we able to get this response. Whatever the response we got here, we already tested in the browser. We already tested that URL in my previous patches. Okay. Okay, let's run the application. Still is loading. App is installed. First, we have to get this location latitude and longitude. So wait up to capture this to latitude, this longitude. Okay, take some time to capture. Once if you get the location latitude and longitude, then we can specify the input. You can specify, and we can specify what type of data you want to get. So we got the latitude and longitude we got, and specify what type of information you want to get. Let's take I want to get the nearby bank's information. I want to get what? Nearby bank information I want to get. Let's specify. I'm specifying bank. I specify the input I specified as what? Bank is the input I specified. I specified the input I specified as bank I specified, but we are printing the output. We are printing in a log. We are printing, right? We are printing that output. We are printing in a log. We are printing. So parallelly, let's open the logcat also in your phone, in your system. Here you can find a tool called Android Device Monitor, right? In this Android Device Monitor, you can find a tool called Logcat is a tool. Just click on this go button and see what is the response we are getting from the server. I'm clicking this go button, I'm clicking. I selected go button, I selected. See, are we getting any response? Click once again. We got the latitude and longitude we got. I'm clicking this go button, I'm clicking. So we are not getting any response, we are not getting from the server. Okay. So we are not getting any response, we are not getting from the server. So as per my assumption, the problem is nothing but with the API key. Whatever the API key we generated, this API key, so will take some time to activate that one. Immediately it will not activate, it will take some time to activate that API key. So that's why what I'm doing is, I'll share that API key also. Anyway, I'll share that project, I'll share, right? Just in place of this API key, because immediately it will not activate this API key, it will not activate immediately, it will take some time. So meanwhile, let's you can use my API key. You can use in my previous batches. I created the API key. I created this API key is there, right? In my previous batches, I created an API key. I created in my previous batches. I use that API key. I use. I remove this API because it will take some time to activate this one. Okay. I use my previous batches API key. I use. Just give me a minute. One second. This is the API key. I mean, in my previous batches, I generated this API key. I generated. Now I use this API key I use because why we are not getting the output, because this API key immediately will not generate this one. It will take some time. So I configure the API key. I configure. You know, if you want to test, even I'll share it with you. Also, I'll share this API key. I'll share. You can test. Okay. And so now click on this run button. Just we change the API key. We change. That's it. We change the API key. We changed. So run the application now. Let's run the app. Take some time to load. Okay. So app is installed. It's trying to capture the location. I mean the latitude and longitude. It's trying to capture the latitude and longitude. It's trying to capture. Okay. So meanwhile, let's open the logcat tool. Still is trying to capture that latitude and longitude. So we got the latitude and longitude we got the latitude and longitude. Let's give the input what type of value you want to get. So I want to get nearby bank information. I want to get, I specified bank. I specified कौन से option कौन से option. So I specified latitude and longitude. I specified, okay. And once if you click on this go button, once if you click, we are printing the response. We are printing in log. We are printing. Just click on this go button. So once if you click the go button, once if you click, we are hitting the server. We are hitting, and here it's it's confusing here because it's difficult to identify the log. We'll do one thing. We'll display that information. Will display in a toast. Will display because toast means easily we can understand, right? The device basically it's printing a lot of other information. It is printing. Yeah. So we got the response. We got the response we got from the server. This is the response we received from the server. JSON object. Okay. Results is the main root tag. Results is the this is the main JSON object. Okay. And it contains a tag called what? Results is a tag which contains a name. And next, what is the next one? Vicinity. Name we got, vicinity we got, and vicinity means nothing but address. And its latitude and longitude also available. Now, if you want to test, what we'll do is let's copy this entire JSON format. We got the response. We got in a from the JSON server. We got the response. We got the response from JSON server. We got the response. This is the response we got from the server. We got the response. Let's copy this entire URL. Or just you can right click on the text. You can select copy. You can select and open your text notepad. Oh, we got a lot of unnecessary thing. We got. Just wait. Basically, we got the response. We got in a JSON format. We got the response. If you want, I'll test once again. I'll test. Here we got the latitude and longitude, right? Here, better than this, we'll do one thing. Let's take log.info. Okay. So rather than writing this system.out.println, even you can write the statement like log.i, meaning log.information I want to print. So here, let's specify log.i, meaning info I want to print. Okay. So let's specify what is the first one. Message I want to print the first. First is a tag. Second thing is a message, I guess. But only this is sufficient. First thing is what? Tag. Second thing is a message. I'm giving the tag. I'm giving as response is a tag. Response is a tag name. And what is the value we are printing? MSG is a value. Right? There's only the value. Key syntax, right? Log.i. First parameter is a tag. Second parameter is what? Is a message. So we specified what is a tag name. Tag name is nothing but response is a tag and the message. Okay. Now let's run the app. Because here we call as verbose. This logcat continuously is printing, right? It's called verbose means nothing but everything it will print. Your exception information, your warning messages, your information, everything is going to be printed. But now we return log.i, meaning only information only will print. Okay. If you want to get only information, if you want to get, we had to change here. From verbose to we had to change to info, we had to change. Because for a developer, it's important, boss. For a developer, it's important to use this logcat. Okay. Okay, app is installed. Let's trying to capture the latitude and longitude. So you got latitude and longitude we got. Let's give the input what type of value you want to get. I want to get nearby bar information I want to get. So I specified VAR. Okay. So once if you click this go button, once if you click the go button, once if you click go, I selected. I selected go, I selected. See here, we got the response we got. We got the response we got. Right? Now you can copy this URL, you can copy now. Now you can copy this entire text, you can copy up to this. You can copy this entire JSON text, you can copy and you can place in your browser. Okay. So we got the response we got from the server. In a JSON format, we got the response from the server. Okay. We got the response from the server in a JSON format, we got the response from the server. Now you can place here and you can test. We got the response we got from the server in a JSON format, we got the response. It's very simple, boss. This is the main JSON object. This is the main JSON object. This object contains one array. This object contains what? One array. What is array name? Results is the array. This object contains an array called what? Results is the array. In this results array, this is one individual object. That's why you should have a strong knowledge on the JSON file, okay, to understand this response. This is an array. Results is the array. This results array contains, this is one individual object. Let's see from here to here, one individual object, one individual result object. It contains a tag. It contains one more child called geometry, and it contains one more child called location. This location contains two more childs called latitude and longitude. So basically, we require four things we require. What is the name of the place? What is its vicinity? What is the latitude value? And what is the longitude value? So these four tags information we required. Okay. One thing we got the confirmation, that is we are getting the response from the server in a JSON format. We are getting the response from the server. We already printed that output. We printed MSG. We are able to get what? The response we are able to get from the server. Okay. Now this data we had to present on a recycler view component. We had to present. We got the response from the server in a JSON format. We got the response from the server. This JSON data we had to present on a recycler view. 50% of our work is done. 50% of our work is done. We are able to get the response we are able to get from the server. Another 50% is nothing but this JSON data. Whatever the data is there in the JSON, we had to parse this JSON data. We had to parse the JSON data. We had to parse and we had to present the data on a recycler view component. We had to present. Now we'll see how to present this JSON data on a recycler view. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll come back and we'll see how to parse this JSON file and how to present the data on a recycler view. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll come back. Okay. Yeah. So we'll start. So we got the response we got from the server in a JSON format. We got the response from the server. Now we had to parse this JSON file. We had to parse, meaning whatever the data is there in the JSON file, we had to read the data from the JSON file and we had to present the data in a recycler view. Let's see here. For reading the data from the JSON, first let's pass this string object. What is the response we got? This MSG object is there, right? The string object. Let's pass this MSG object to JSON object. Let's create an object for JSON object. Object is equals to a new JSON object of, specify this MSG. JSON object is equals to what? New JSON object of MSG. Meaning, whatever the response we got, the main JSON object is there, right? This main JSON object will get. So by using this statement, we'll get what? The main JSON object will get. This object contains an array. This object contains what? An array. What is array name? Results is the array. This results object contains at multiple places information. Even in your real time also same thing. It may be anything. For example, you are developing an application, e-commerce application. If you send a mobile name, you want to get the list of mobile, all the available mobiles you want to get, and you want to present the data in a recycler view. You'll get the response on the server in a JSON format. You'll get the response. In this way, we have to read whatever we are writing. We got the multiple results objects. We got the array name is nothing but results is the array. Array name is what? Results is the array. So now from this main JSON object, we had to get the array. We had to get array is equals to object dot array is equals to object dot. What is the method name? Get JSON array is a method. Object dot get JSON array is a method. Specify the array name. Array name is nothing but results is the array name. What is the array name? Results is the array. From this main JSON object, we got the array. We got results. It contains multiple results, right? It contains multiple results, meaning from here to here. Before going to start the geometry, this is one JSON object. This is one JSON object. Again, from here to here, it's a second JSON object. Like this, it contains it contains a lot of result objects. It contains a lot of result objects. This result object contains it's a child tag. It's a child tag, and again it's a child. Okay, lay over this. This result tag contains directly it contains two attributes. One is the name of the place. One is the name of the place, Sarvi, and second thing is the vicinity. Second thing is what? Vicinity. Okay. So here we got the array we got, and we don't know how many individual results objects are there in the array. That's why let's create a loop, because we don't know how many individual array objects are there in the array. Int, we already used the I variable, we already used. That's why I'm taking j. I'm using int j is equals to 0, j less than array dot length, and j plus plus. J is equals to 0, j less than array dot length, and j plus plus. How many individual result objects are there? That many times repeat this loop. Okay. Now from this individual, get the individual result object from the array. JSON object individual object is equals to individual objects is equals to array dot get JSON object of pass the index. Get the individual object array dot get JSON object of give the index. So that you'll get the individual object. You'll get what? The individual object you'll get. From this individual object, we have to get the values we have to get, and its type also important. What type of data is available in the JSON? The type is also important. What we required the 4 parameters we required. It contains a lot of other parameters, but we don't require the other parameters. We required only the name of the place. We required the name of the place, and we required the vicinity. Name of the place we required, and second thing is what? We required the vicinity we required, meaning address we required. And what is its latitude value and the longitude value? What is the latitude value and the longitude value? See, these two are the string type of data. Name and vicinity are the string type of data, because directly it's double quotes is there. So directly it's a string type of data. But if you take this latitude and longitude, there is no any double quotes, meaning it's not a string type of data. Basically, it's a double type of data. It's not a string type of data. It is what? It's a double type of data. So in your program, this individual object, from this individual object, first get the name. Get what? Name individual object dot. There is a method called getString is a method. Specify the key here. Name. Next, what is the next one? String vicinity, meaning address we are getting here. Individual object dot get string of vicinity, meaning address. First we got the name we got, and next we got the vicinity we got. Okay. Next, get that latitude value and longitude also. Double latitude is equals to, but directly these latitude and longitude are not child of the main JSON object. If it is a direct child of this individual object, then we can get. But this latitude and longitude is available in an object called location. This location object is available in the geometry object. This geometry is available in the individual object. Meaning, from this individual object, first we had to get the geometry we had to get. From geometry, we had to get the location we had to get. From the location object, we had to get this latitude and longitude we had to get. Okay. First, we had to get the geometry object we had to get. Okay. First, get the geometry object. JSON object. Which object it is? It's a geometry is equals to individual object dot get JSON object is a method. Get JSON object. Give a name for this one. What is the object name? Geometry. Check the spelling once. Geometry because it should be same. Otherwise, you will not get this object. You will not get geometry. Geometry. Get the geometry object. Next, get the individual object. Sorry, from the geometry object. From the geometry object, it contains one more object called what? Location object. So get the location object. Location object is equals to this location object is a child of geometry object, right? Geometry dot there is a method called get JSON object of location object is equals to geometry object dot get JSON object. Specify the name. What is the name here? Location. Location is a name. Now from this location object, this location object contains two double type of values. One is the latitude, second thing is what? Longitude. LAT is a key and LNG is a keys. Okay, let's specify here double latitude is equals to this location object dot get double of LAT and double longitude is equals to location object dot get double of LNG. These are the keys. This LAT and LNG is nothing but the keys whatever is created in the JSON file, LAT and LNG. Okay. So now here it's a loop. If we return the logic in a loop, we return the logic. How many times this loop is going to be repeat? How many individual result objects are available? How many individual results objects are available? That many times this loop is going to be repeat. That many times this loop is going to be what? Repeat. Okay. But just we are reading the values. We are not storing these values. We are not storing into anywhere. Understand my statement? Just we are reading the values we are storing, but we are not storing these values. We are not storing at anywhere. We are not storing these values. We are not storing these values at anywhere. We are not storing these values. For storing these values while we are reading, for storing these values, whatever the data we are reading from the JSON, for storing these values, I'll create one model class. I'll create, or we call as a Pojo class, or we call as a value object class, VO, or we call as a data transfer object. I mean the different names: value object, data transfer object, model class, or Pojo class. Names are different, but the concept is same. So we had to create one Pojo class. We had to create. Let's create a Pojo class. Pojo is termed as plain old Java object. It's not a great concept or it's not a new concept. If a class is not extending any other classes, or if a class is not providing the implementation for any other interfaces, then the class is called as a Pojo class. Okay. So in your projects, in your applications, if you have a requirement of parsing the data or whatever the data you are reading from XML or JSON file, so we had to maintain the Pojo classes. We had to maintain for the data. Let's see what exactly the Pojo class means. I'm creating a class. I'm creating Java class. Let's specify what is the class name. I'm specifying the class name is place Pojo is the class name. I create a class. I created. What is the class name? Place Pojo is the class name. In this place Pojo class, whatever the values you want to maintain, let's declare the private variables here. See how many variables, how many values you want to hold. One is name. Second thing is vicinity, meaning address. Name we required. Vicinity we required. latitude required, and the longitude required. Name, vicinity, latitude, and longitude. So let's declare the private variables here. Let's declare the private variables for this components. Private, first thing is a string type of data. Name, private string. Next thing is address, so vicinity. So this is what the string type of data. Okay, and next there are two double variables are there. One is for latitude and one more thing for longitude. Double latitude is one thing and one more variable private double longitude, latitude and longitude. We created four private variables. We created private variables, meaning where we can access these variables only within this class. Outside the class, we cannot access. For accessing from outside the classes, I will generate a setter method. For setting the values and for getting the values, I'll generate what? The setter methods and getter methods I'll generate for these variables. If you want to generate the setter and getter methods, select the code here. Select what? Code. In code, you can find the option called generate. In code, you can find the option called what? Generate. In generate, select this setter and getter. Select what? Setter and getter. For which variables you want to generate the setter and getter methods, you have to select here. I want to generate the setter and getter methods for all these variables I want to generate. Okay. Set name, set vicinity, get vicinity. So set latitude, get latitude, set longitude, and get longitude. So once if you select the generate setters and getters, automatically it's going to generate the setter and getter methods. Automatically it will generate for these variables. Automatically it will generate the setter and getter methods for these variables. It will generate setter and getter methods. Okay. Class we created. We created what? A Pojo class we created. Now here, while you are parsing the data, so we are not storing these values. We are not storing it anywhere, right? That's why we create a class called Pojo class we created. Let's create the object for this place Pojo. Let's create the object for this place Pojo class. Let's create the object. Let's create the object for what? Place Pojo. Now in this Pojo class, let's set the values. Pojo dot, there is a method called set name is a method. Set the name value for this one. And next, what is the next one? Pojo dot, there is a method called set vicinity is a method. Whatever the address we got here, set that vicinity value to Pojo. Set name, set vicinity, set latitude, and Pojo dot set longitude is equals to longitude. Okay, by using this statement also, okay, fine. Now we created a class we created, and whatever the data we got from the JSON, that JSON data I'm storing into the Pojo class I'm storing. Place Pojo class I'm storing. But how many records are there? Multiple records. Somewhere we are storing the data we are storing into Pojo class. Once one record is completed, it will create a new Pojo object it will create. Every time it will create a new Pojo object it will create every time. But somewhere we have to store all these values, we have to store it somewhere. Right? So that's why globally I'm creating, meaning before starting this for loop, I'm creating an object for array list. I'm creating an object for what? Array list. Array list which contains a place Pojo, because we are having multiple values we are having. That's why I'm taking what? One array list object I'm taking to store the multiple values. Array list of place Pojo is equals to new array list. Because we are having multiple values we are having, so just to store all these values, how many records are we are having, that's why I created object for array list object I created, which is maintaining the type of place Pojo. Now let's add this place Pojo. Now let's add this object, this Pojo object, let's add to the array, I mean this list object, array list object, whatever we created. List dot add of Pojo, or okay, anything you can do. Have you understand? We are reading the data from the JSON file we are reading. We are reading the data from the JSON file. We are reading the data. That data, whatever the data is there in the JSON, that data we stored into one class we stored called placePojo class. We stored the entire data we stored into one class we stored, that is a placePojo class. It contains multiple records, contains a multiple records. That's why globally I created one list. I created the type of placePojo, and I'm storing the values. I'm storing into that list. I'm storing the values. Now the entire data we stored into which object? Now the entire data is be available in the array list object. The entire data will be available. Now 80% of our work is completed. We got the response in JSON. We got the response. We got the response in which format? We got the response in a JSON format. We got the response. That entire response we stored into one array list. We stored the entire response. We stored into what? Into one array list object. We stored the entire data. That entire response we stored into what? Into array list object. We stored the entire response. This array list data we had to present on a recycler view component. We want to present this array list data, whatever the data is there in array list. This data we want to present on a recycler view component. We want to present. Okay, I required another 15 minutes. Shall we continue? Shall we do this one also? Present this array list object on a recycler view component. So I need another 15 minutes. So shall we continue? Okay, so we'll continue. So we stored the entire data into this array list object. We stored the entire data. Now we'll present this data on a recycler view. So in our activity XML file, we already created a recycler view component. We already created what? Recycler view component we already created. Now this get this recycler view component after loading the entire data and storing the data. After this for loop, after the for loop in this on post execute method, storing the data into this array list object. In the XML file, we created a recycler view component. We created in the XML. Get that recycler view component is equals to recycler view of what is the method name? Find view by id r.id dot recycler view. So get the recycler view component from the activity XML. Now for this recycler view component, I want to present the data I want to present for this. For this recycler view component, I want to present the data I want to present. In which format you want to present the data? We discussed already recycler view component. Okay. In which format you want to present the data? First, we had to create an XML file. We had to create for that. See how many parameters you want to present? 4 things. What is the name of the place? What is the vicinity? I mean address, and what is the latitude value and the longitude value. Let's create an individual XML file first. In which format you want to display? Let's create a new XML, a layout resource file. Specify the XML file name as individual views XML file name. Taking the orientation as linear layout. Okay. So let's take a linear layout, and orientation I specified as a vertical I specified. But here let's specify it's a wrap content, not the match variant. Inside the linear layout, I'm taking a UI group called card view component. Inside the recycler view, I'm taking a UI component called what? Card view. Or globally also you can take a UI component called card view. You can take globally. Globally you can take a UI group called card view. We don't require this vertical format. We don't require this. So globally, the main UI group we taken as what? Card view component we take. Now inside this card view, let's create a linear layout. Width is match parent, occupy the entire screen, and height I'm specifying as wrap content up to the content. Let's specify the orientation, in which format you want to present. Orientation is equal. Now inside this linear layout, we want to display a name we want to display, and we want to display the vicinity and latitude and longitude. Okay. So let's create three text view components. Width is match parent, height wrap content. We'll specify the text color. We'll specify text color red. Specify the text color as red color we specified, or directly you can apply the RGB color code also you can apply. Hash FF00. Okay. And if you want, you can apply the gravity because I want to present exactly in the middle of the screen. So gravity. And what is the text you want to display? Text I want to display, title I want to display text. Text is equals to what? Title. See the design. So we created title, we created. Okay. Okay. Next, below of this, I want to create one more text view component. I want to create below of this. I want to create one more text view. Width is match parent. Say height is wrap content. What is the text color? I want to display the blue color. I want to display text color. Text size I specify 20 sp. I want to make italic. Address. Okay. And it's a distinct. I mean address. And next, what is the last one? I want to create a latitude and longitude. I want to display. I want to display what? The latitude and longitude value I want to display. Okay. And the last thing also we are creating a latitude and longitude. But we require two components we require in a single row. That's why I'm creating a linear layout I'm creating. Let's configure the IDs first because it's important. IDs we require. This ID is for vicinity. ID is title is ID. Title, vicinity. And we require two components we require in a single row. That's why I'm specifying the wrap content. And what is the orientation? Orientation is what? Horizontal. In a single linear layout, I want to create two text view components I want to create. One is for displaying the latitude and one more thing for displaying the longitude. Width is 0 dp, make it 0 dp, and height is wrap content. And what is the text? Text I want to display, latitude value I want to display. Okay. Weight is equals to 0.5 is a weight. Okay. Let's configure the ID because we require into Java code we require L8 latitude. Okay. In the same way, we'll create one more text view component. We'll create. This is for longitude, latitude and longitude. So now we created the individual XML file we created. With the card view component, we created the individual XML file we created in which format we want to display. So now we created the individual XML file we created in which format we want to display. Let's close this XML file. So now here, for presenting the data on a recycler view, component, first we designed the individual XML file we designed in which format we want to present. We created what? The XML file we created. So now we had to create a class we had to create with subtype of view holder class. This is the first step. Let's create a class, a Java class. Let's take my holder to hold the UI components. What are the UI components are available in the individual XML file to hold the components? We had to create a class we had to create with the view holder. Extends recycler view dot view holder. Extends recycler view dot what is the class name? A view holder is a class. This is the first step. Holder class, it will ask you to create a constructor. Let's create a constructor here. Let's select this one and create a constructor. constructor. Now here from this constructor, which is taking the view object as the input, which is taking what? The view object as the input, item view. Now get the UI components from the XML file, whatever we created. We created 4 text view components we created in the individual XML. Text view 1 for name, text view 2 for vicinity, text view 3 for latitude, and text view 4 for. So we create 4 text view components we created. Let's initialize these 4 text view components. Text view 1 is equals to text view of item view dot find view by id, art dot id dot one is a name, sorry, title. Maybe after creating this individual view, we configure the IDs we configured, right? We forgot to save, I guess. We create this XML we created, right? Maybe title, ID, latitude, and longitude we configured. Latitude we got, vicinity we got. Okay, let's rename this one because maybe it's not accepting this title and all. For example, specifying m underscore title, meaning my title, m underscore title is specified, and m underscore vicinity, m underscore title, m underscore vicinity, and m underscore latitude, m underscore latitude, and m underscore longitude. Long. Same names we given in other place also. That's why we are it's not generated IDs. That's why given just appended m appended before that ID. Now let's specify r dot id dot. So now we got m underscore title, and for text view 2 component, text view of item view dot find view by id, r dot id dot m underscore vicinity. Next, text view 3 dot is equals to text view item view dot find view by id, r dot id dot m underscore latitude, and text view 4 is equals to text view of m underscore longitude. Okay, so now we created a view holder class we created. In which format we wants to present, we created what? The view holder we created. Now only one thing is remaining, that is present the data in a recycler view. So for presenting the recycler view, for presenting the data in a recycler view, we had to create an object for recycler view adapter class. We had to create an object. Let's create the object for a recycler view adapter class, the Java class. For example, a places adapter. I'm specifying the class name as what? Places adapter is a class name. If you want to create a recycler adapter, what is the first step? Extends recycler view dot your adapter class name. Recycler view dot adapter is a class, and in the generics you have to specify your view holder class name. You have to specify what is your view holder class name. My holder is a class. What is your view holder class name? Okay. So it contains few abstract methods. Let's implement these methods. Let's implement the all these methods. Let's implement here, which contain 3 methods: on create view holder, on bind holder, and get item count method. First thing you have to define in the get item count method how many values you want to present how many values you wants to present, that count you had to specify in the get count method. See how you'll get the count, because here we stored the entire list, we stored into one list object, we stored the entire data, right? The entire data we stored into what? Into the list object, we stored the entire data. This list object we had to send to the recycler view component. Let's see here. For this recycler view component, recycler view dot, there is a method called set adapter is a method. Recycler view dot, what is the method name? Set adapter is a method. And I want to send two parameters for this recycler view dot set adapter method. What is your adapter class name? Place adapter is a class, meaning we created an object, meaning we are calling the default constructor, we are calling the place adapter. We are calling the default constructor, we are calling in the place adapter. Okay. For this placeholder, places adapter class, I'm sending two parameters. I'm sending one is the activity object, I'm sending main activity dot this. I'm sending the main activity object, I'm sending comma. Second parameter is the array list object. Second parameter is what? Array list object. Because why I'm sending this main activity object? Because no, we required in the adapter class, we required. That's why I'm sending that activity object, I'm sending in the first parameter. Second thing is nothing but the array list object, where the entire data is available. That data also I'm sending as an input parameter to the places adapter. So now we have to create a constructor here. Just click on this error. Let's create a constructor in the places adapter class. Let's create a constructor in the places adapter. Just once if you click on that error, create constructor, automatically it's going to create a constructor. It's going to create automatically in the places adapter class. Automatically it is going to create a constructor. It will create in the places adapter class. It will create a constructor. But the scope of these variables, this method is taking two parameters as input. One is a main activity object and array list object. The scope of these two variables is nothing but within this block. Only in this block only we can access. Outside the block we cannot access. Outside the block we cannot access. So what we'll do is, let's declare two global variables. Declare two global variables. One is the activity object. One is what? The activity object. Second thing is the array list object. Array list of what? Place Pojo. I given the variable name as Pojo Segment. Okay. Now assign this local variable to the global variables. Activity is equals to m activity. Main activity. Activity is equals to what? The main activity object. And this Pojos is equals to array list of Pojos is equals to list object. The scope of these two variables is within this block. So to access in my entire program, I'm storing these local variables. I'm storing into global variables I store. Okay. Now we got the Pojos object we got. Meaning this Pojos object contains the data, the whole data, how many records are available. In the get item count method, how many values you want to present, let's specify here. That is Pojos object dot. There is a method called size is a method. Pojos object dot size is a method. So meaning how many records are available in this Pojos object, that many items I want to present. Okay. Next. In the on create view holder, in which format you want to present, return type of this method is nothing but my holder. Return type of this method is nothing but what? It's a my holder object. So we had to create an object for my holder class and we had to return the object. But if you want to create the object for my holder class, if you want to create an object, the input parameter which is taking the view object, return type of this on create view holder method is nothing but my holder only. So that's why we created an object for my holder class, we created an object. But if you want to create an object for my holder, it will take the input parameter called view object. So we had to create the view object we had to create. Let's create the object for view class. Let's create the object for view class. Let's convert the XML file. What are the XML file you created? Let's convert the XML file into view object. But if you want to convert that XML file into view object, we required a class called layout inflator is a class. Before the view object, first we required the object for which class? Layout inflator. Inflator is equals to layout inflator dot from. Specify your activity object. Specify the activity object. Now with the help of this inflator object, we can convert that XML file, you can convert into the view object, you can convert. inflator.inflate, specify the XML file r.layout.individual view is the XML file. Second parameter is a view group object. We are already getting one input parameter for this method. Let's specify the view group object. And third parameter is a boolean type. Always it will be what? False. Okay. Now we got the view object we got. Let's return this view object in the my holder constructor. That's it. In which format we want to design the UI, we create a view object we created and we are returning that view object we are returning. Now the main logic we have to write in the onBind view holder method, meaning what are the data you want to present. Let's specify in the onBind view holder. So holder dot, it contains a UI component called text view1. For this text view1 component, I want to set the title I want to set. Dot, there is a method called set text is a method. The data is available in a POJOs, the data is available. From that object, I'm getting the individual object I'm getting by using the position. I'm getting the individual object I'm getting by using position. POJOs dot get position of get name. So you'll get the title you'll get. Dot get name, we'll get the title you'll get. Text view 3 and text view 4. Get name, next get vicinity, I want to get the address I want to get. Next, what is the next one? Get latitude. It's a double type you will get, but it will accept a string type. That's why I'm adding just string I'm adding. If you add empty string, if you add, it will convert that double, it will convert into string format, it will convert. That's it. Get latitude and get, what is the last one? Get longitude. We specified in which format we want to present the data. Let's run the application. Our code is completed. Everything, we are getting the response and we are presenting the data on a individual UI component, the recycler individual component. Let's run the application. It's loading the application. It's trying to capture the latitude and longitude. Now once we get the latitude and longitude, then we can search, we can get the go button, we can select. Meanwhile, we can type what type of information I want to get. I want to get the cave information I want to get. I specified the input as cave I specified. So once it is captured the latitude and longitude, then you can select the go button, you can select. Let's wait. It is blinking this GPS option, meaning it's trying to capture. Basically, every time we are uninstalling the application, right? That's why it is taking some time. If you don't uninstall the application, if you open, immediately you'll get this latitude and longitude. So if you want to get that API key, if you want to get for testing purpose, I'll upload this project, I'll upload into drive folder. Okay. So you can access the API key, you can access in the main activity class asynchronous task, you can access the API key, you can access. While you're testing, just use this API key, whatever I'm sending in the mail. Okay. So we got the latitude and longitude we got, and I specified the cape information I want to get. Let's click on the go button. I selected go button, I selected. If everything is success, then we'll get the response on the screen we'll get. So I selected go button and selected. Still it's loading the data, I guess. First, let me check here whether we got the response or not. We got the JSON response we got, but there is some exception in parsing. It's asking some permissions. Writing exception to parcel. No layout manager attached, recycler view, skipping the layout. It's asking some permission, it's asking. We'll add the permission, interact across user all. But basically, as per my assumption, that's not an issue. Issue is nothing but it's not loading the entire data. If you see here, it's not loading the entire data, it's not loading, it's skipping the data. It loaded some data, it's loaded, then after that it's skipping the data, it is skipping. I don't know why. It's not loaded the complete data, it's not loaded. Only 50% of the data it's loaded, and it's after that it's skipping the layout, it's skipping. Okay. It's asking some permission, right? We added the permission we added. Now let's run the application once. We'll see. I'm giving bus stop, I'm giving bus stop. Bus stop. Let's specify any other thing like ATM I specified. Specified ATM I specified. Just click on this go button. I given ATM I given. It's loading the data still. So we got the response we got here, but the same issue. Just it is loading. It's not loading the entire data. That's the main problem. See here, this is a main JSON object, right? It has to close the tag with the flower bracket only, but here it's only some part of data it's loaded. It's not loading the entire data. It's not loading. Okay. So anyway, we'll see that one. I'll check once where exactly we did a mistake and why it is not loading the entire data.